What I'm going to do is I'm going to share with you guys tonight just a way that you want to think about when you're out in the field and you're talking to people, and people, you know, we're constantly having conversations with people all day, every day. And there's things that you want to be picking up where you're listening to people about just what's going on in their lives, what they're telling you, attributes, great values that they have, all of the different parts of just really great things about being human, really. And what I'm going to do, I'm going to do something really different. I shared this with Orlando on the weekend. I'm going to share my story with you guys, but I really need you all to have a pen and paper, because that pen and paper, we are going to actually build a list throughout my story. Because one of the things that I keep thinking about is, what did I do in the very beginning? What did I do when I was Julie, who's 2 days into her business? And I need to just consistently step myself back to that. What did I do then? How was it that I actually came to saying yes? Why did I say yes? What happened in my life right then? What happened to give me the fuel to actually drive forward to build an incredible business with Neora? One of the things that I really love about what we do is to make people better. And the more you live in that mission, the more incredible people that you bring into your team. And I love having the ears that are listening all the time for those types of people. So I am going to do what I just said and share my screen. So just give me 1 sec while I quickly sort myself out doing that. And then I'm going to take you on a bit of a journey. And on this journey, I'm going to pause every now and again, and we're going to do some list building. So just give me a second. Okay. Rightio. So for you guys that don't know me, my name is Rachel Vidal. I'm a National Marketing Director here in Australia. And Neora has been the most incredible ride I've ever been on. I'm going to go backtrack a little bit, and I'm going to take you back to the time when I lived where the Red Cross is. Right now I live where the Blue Cross is. That's Cairns. I know most of you Aussies know that, but in the US, they had no idea. But the Red Cross is where I lived for 16 years. It was my true home for quite a long period of time through my adult life, where I met my gorgeous husband, where we had our beautiful kids, Max, who is 16 tomorrow, and Kiki, who is 12 going on 30. I don't know if anyone's got any daughters, but you might relate to that. This is where we lived, and I want you to really understand the remoteness of where we lived. The top picture is just the beach down the road. How incredible is that? The bottom picture is the 780-kilometre road to the main road, which was then another 300 kilometres to Darwin. Remote was where we lived. You could only get in and out of this community in the dry season because the river crossings crossed and that was it. Road was closed. So I there had the most incredible role in the world. I had the contract to the local council where I ran businesses out of the local pool. When I took on the pool, there was only 200 members. By the time the first year hit, I had over 1,200 members. And this was because I had a driving passion for building communities. I never really knew that that's what it was that I was doing until I was in the months doing this. Nothing gave me more joy than setting up different types of programs to bring people together, to bring all sorts of different people together. You can see that bottom picture is one of my favorites, where I brought in communities from outstations, kids that had never even swum in a swimming pool before. It was their very first experience, to kids learning to swim, to doing CrossFit, to doing having coffee with mums, whatever it would be. I was in love with building communities. These are some of the events that I held. So right now, what I want you to do is I want you to grab a pen and paper, And I want you to just write down all the different communities that you've been a part of. You know, don't worry about the people in them right now, just the communities that you have loved being a part of. You know, whether it's the karate club, whether it was the Scouts, whether it was Girl Guides when you were a Girl Guide, not taking your kids there. You know, it doesn't matter what community it was, but just write down, just think about those communities where you felt so amazing being a part of. It's a fishing club, anything that was a body of people that came together and you did the same sort of thing. This place was my heart and soul. I put everything into it. I put my absolute everything. I lived and breathed everything in this whole entire circumference of this fence to make it the most incredible place ever. But what we didn't know, that there was some shaky grounds behind us. Those shaky grounds behind us was why many of us were there. In fact, it was why the whole town was there. It was a 10-kilometre radius of a township, and just off our town was a mine, and Rio Tinto owned this mine. They were in all sorts of strife. They actually were looking at ways to create more income into their facility. And they started us on a journey of doing little protests or little getting gas to go was one of them. And we all rallied and we all really fought for, we want to be in this town, you know, this is where our children were born. This is where we actually lived as a community. This is not where, you know, you just go and get a job somewhere and you drive down the road and you've still got your cousins there, your mum there, your aunties there. You don't have that there. We were isolated in the middle of nowhere, and who became our family were all these people. We became each other's family. I'll never forget this day. This day was the day that my life completely turned upside down. A town of 4,500 people. We crammed into our town hall and we were told that they were closing our refinery. It meant we were to lose about 2,500 people in our township. Because of that, it meant we were going to lose many friends. Our kids were going to lose friends. It meant all the businesses in town were going to lose customers. I had a business that was a service business. Where were my customers going to go? Who do you know that's been through a life-changing event? We all know people who've been through a life-changing event. It's a life-changing event where there's been an accident and they can't work anymore. Is it a life-changing event because somebody else in their family's had an accident and they have to care for them? Is it a life-changing event because, like us, they lost their job? Think about people in your world that have been through a life-changing event. Who are they? Write their names down. The next 12 months was a really, really hard 12 months. This is a classic photo of what we did on the weekend. This was our weekend. No one else was on the beach but us. We would travel with 6 cars or more or less, and we would go somewhere incredible because we lived in the most majestic part of the world. And we would have a ball. The kids all hung out. Didn't matter if they were a baby or a big kid. They all just were great friends. And the adults, we all just did crazy stuff. Here we're doing exercises and we're stretching. And, you know, we lived this life of just incredible beauty and incredible friendships and relationships. They were strong. They were so strong. These are my favourites, my dogs. They loved it too. All of our dogs came. We all came to all of our trips. So coming towards the end of the 12 months where we were also going to be leaving, it was probably the hardest part of my life. Those 3 months, I went down the big rabbit hole and I couldn't face the world. I couldn't face the community. I couldn't go out and about. I went into a massive hole of depression. I sat in my house and protected myself within the walls of my house. I went out to only do the bare minimum of what I had to do until we left. And I really just felt that this incredible experience of my life had just all broken apart. And I really didn't know what to do, where to go, or how to start, or how to move forward. So I want you to write on your list, who do you know right now that needs a hand? There are people out there in your world that they're gone missing in action. There's something that's just not the same as their normal character. There's things that are happening, like maybe their Facebook posts are even just a bit strange, and you're already raising your eyebrow about them. I want you to write down as many of those people that you can think of right now that they just need a hand. Because, you know, I would have loved it if I was braver and told a few more people that I just needed a hand. This is Jake and Lara with Max and Kiki, my kids, and this was the last time that we saw them face to face. They now live in Bundaberg, and obviously we're here in Cairns. And we just went in different journeys because this is what happened in our town. These people, we hung out with them day in and day out. Every day these kids hung out together, every single day. And if they weren't hanging out together at one of our houses, they were staying over at each other's houses, or we were camping together. And then all of a sudden, gone. This relationship no longer existed in the true form of face-to-face relationships. This was probably one of the biggest moments where over 12 months I saw photos popping up in my newsfeed. Namayalala. Thank you, see you later. This was the moment where it took the most courage to step outside that tarmac, onto that tarmac, and know, sorry guys, and know that when we step forward, it's a new chapter. That new chapter was what we had to embrace. We had to know that that chapter behind us was the chapter that we loved and cherished. But this new chapter, if we did not step forward with courage, we wouldn't embrace what was coming for us. So now I want you to write down, who do you know that oozes courage? We all know people with courage. They're those people that they just do it. They just say yes. Who are those people in your world? They always say yes to everything. They want to say yes. They want to experience what's next. They don't want to let things anchor them from behind. They have the courage to keep pushing forward. Who are those people? Write them down. We arrived to Cairns and we started doing the coolest things ever. We straight away were out on the reef. We went out to the rainforest. We did everything that you could possibly do in Cairns. We wanted to move forward. We really have moved forward. Cairns has absolutely become our new home, our sanctuary. You know, we love it here. My kids have just embraced everything about being here. And it's just fantastic. Ed's got a great job. I love my Neora world. It is amazing. And now I want you to get your pen and paper out again. And I want you to write down on the next part of your list, who do you know that really loves where they live? And it doesn't have to be that they've got a mortgage and they're grounded in that particular place. They could be a full gypsy. And they could be living in all sorts of places. They might want to live in their motorhome. They might want to live in their, wherever it is. But who do you know that really embraces where they live? You can almost see them on social media, skipping down the road, like so happy because of where they live. Who are those people? You can see the smiles on their faces. Next came my journey forward to Neora. So I had a coach at the time when I transitioned from living in Gove to coming to Cairns, which I'm so, so grateful for. And she said to me once I arrived in Cairns, hey, Rach, Tony's looking for some more coaches. Are you open to having a go? And I'm like, hell yeah. Who's going to say no to Tony? So the next 4 or 5 months, I was absolutely in the most craziest interview process you could ever imagine. Some of you might spot Puya on the far right there with hair. Before he had no hair, then he had hair. So you might spot him there. So this was just the crazy people in my world at this time. This group of people were my team at our site training. I have never come across a group of people more willing to do whatever it takes to get a role as a Tony Robbins coach. That stay power and that willingness was the most incredible attribute and passion to learn and to be inspired by. And we all have that within us. And I absolutely adore these people for that. So in saying that, who do you know that's ever been to a Tony Robbins event or wants to go to a Tony Robbins event, or is somebody that has that willpower, or somebody that loves personal development, or somebody that loves reading personal development, listens to podcasts, wants to always, or looking at always different ways to better theirs and their family's lives? Who are those people? Write them down. Now, for our baby new brand partners, the guy with the towel around him, his name is Puya Gundian, and he is the top 5 income earner in Neora. At this time, I had no idea about that. I had no idea even what he did. All I knew was that he was running for a role to be a Tony Robbins coach. That's all I knew. And so this was the very first time that I truly connected with Puya, because we'd both done something pretty outrageous. And after this particular moment, we definitely needed a hairstylist. So who do you know that is a hairstylist? Like, think about all the hairstylists that you know. Just write their names down. Now I'm going to fast forward a year. Excuse me, sorry. Neora have announced that they were... not sure how to mute you, Tracy. Yeah, awesome. Thank you. Neora had announced that they were going to launch into Australia. So guess who started messaging me? Yep, Puya. And I was absolutely not interested. I loved doing what I was doing. I loved serving Tony's mission. And I was in a great place. And as far as my career went, and there was no way. I was not interested. But right or wrong, whether I said yes or no, he was coming to Australia. He was absolutely coming. 9 times I said, no way, not for me. No way. Like, I mean, no way. I'm sure many of you on this call, and if the baby brand partners haven't yet, you will have people that will be, no way. I was one of them. And then I said yes. Puya needed to share with me the information that I needed to make a decision. So he kept sharing with me on what I needed to know and hear, because he knew what was in his hands. He knew what he had, and he knew that what he had could change my life. But in saying that, this man, through his perseverance to not give up on the third time I said no, has completely changed my life. He's completely changed my family's life. And what he has done is that 2.5 short years ago, we were in the most incredible financial hurt. We had left multiple six-figure incomes to go and live, and we call it into the real world. We went and lived in the real world where we had to pay a mortgage and power bills and etc. And we didn't know how to do that very well, especially on a less than six-figure income. So he brought something to us that was absolutely phenomenal. At the time, I was working, as I just shared, with Tony Robbins. I couldn't tell the world that I was in financial hurt. I was helping people getting from A to B. I had to get in there and just go and do this. I went to work and I absolutely had this burning, non-stop desire to go until my job is done. My job's not done yet, guys. But I had this burning desire to do that. And in that very beginning, for me, was I had just left this incredible, hard moment in our lives by leaving Gove. And my kids had just been put into a brand new school, a beautiful private school here in town that we were trying to figure out how the heck are we going to pay this bill. And then we get a court injunction slapped on us that they're going to take away our house. So right now we're in a situation where we are like, oh my gosh, hurting. There is no way I was going to take this house away from my children. There was no way I was going to let them move schools when they were just starting to build and form relationships. I was going to do everything to get to where I needed to go so I could create the income for our family and set the freedom in our family the way I did. Who have you spoken to and they have said no? Write their names down. Because if you've been here for more than 2 days, you have people in your world that have said no. I know you do. Because I do too. This was our very first event. This is our next event. And you know what? Half of us aren't even there because half of us went home. This is our first incentive trip. This is our incentive trip just gone. Never give up on being a part of changing someone else's life. The more lives that you change, you live an absolute legacy life. It's all about choices. Oh, well, a few more people have joined since I went off onto sharing my screen. Hey, everyone else, how are you going? So what I really want to just share from what I just did with you guys is that there are so many ways that people share different parts of their stories in their world where we can literally help them. The more you find that place inside of you to understand what we have is actually a gift. It's a gift where you can change people's lives in so many different ways. And I just want to recap on now that you have a list. I'm just looking at the time going, we've got 2 minutes. Now that you have a list, like the first one, I talked about the community. You know, who now you can dive into those lists of the communities. Who in those communities can you go out and reconnect with? Right, start writing a list of the names of the people in those communities. Then the second one I shared was, who do you know that's gone through a life-changing event? Ring them up, have a catch up, see how they're going since they've had that event. You know, one of the guys in our team in the US, his brother had a car accident and he's the home carer for his brother. He is loving this. You know why? Because he's a part of something. We've gifted him a whole big, massive group of people to give him support outside of this world that he's living with because his brother is a quadriplegic. You know, it's amazing what we have for people if we open our mouths. Number 3 was, who do you know that right now needs a hand? That is being human. The more human and the more love and the more kindness that we can share, the better we are as people, the better we give the world, and the better we vibrate in the world to give the world exactly what it needs when there's so many people hurting. You know, like, how can you reach out to somebody and go, hey, how you going? Let's catch up and have a coffee and find out who they are, find out how they are. Number 4, I said to you guys, who do you know that oozes courage? You know, who are those people and how am I going to talk to them now that I actually have this list of people? How are you going to talk to them is that you're going to, ring them up and get a catch-up time, whether it's on the phone, whether it's in person, it doesn't matter, but it has to be voice-to-voice or face-to-face. That's the power in who we are as humans. As humans, we do all this time on the internet, and we need to connect more with other humans. So create a one-liner. When, you know, in a catch-up with somebody that you haven't seen for a long time, of course, one of the things that you're going to say is, what have you been up to? And of course, they're going to say that to you. Have a one-liner that you can create that you're always going to say to people when they ask you that question. And the one-liner example, I found this great product and I actually build communities with it who want to look, feel, and live better. You know, that's just I just quickly jotted that down before. Like, create yourself a one-liner that is your power within you. It's not about, I put, you know, cream on people's faces. No, we change people's lives, guys. Okay, the next one I did. Who did you know? Who do you know that that loves where they live? Like, who do you know? And think global. Think of all the countries we're open in. Think of the people that you know that are related to Bill and Bob and Jill. And who do they know that live somewhere globally that you can see that they love where they live? And then the final one, the second and last one was the hairstylist. Of course, we want all hairstylists to know about this because they talk to everyone and this product complements their business. So it's fantastic. Not only that, hairstylists, they work their ring off. They work so hard. I've never seen a group of people work so hard in my life that stand on their feet all day and have to yap all day. Sometimes you're like, oh my gosh, could you shut up? Could you think that? Oh my gosh, sometimes they might want this just to be quiet. Anyway, next is who have you spoken to that they've said no? You know, like, go and talk to them. Talk to them again. Use my story as your leverage, because 9 times I said, no way, no way. And if I said no way, I wouldn't have had the most incredible last 2.5 years of my life, where I've met the most incredible people that are sitting right in front of me, that are sitting outside this Zoom, that are sitting in the US, now in Hawaii. Yeah, GG. I have just, this has changed my world, because my world is about making a difference in other people's lives. And if you can go out every day and make a difference in other people's lives, you will have the most fulfilling, joyful life you could ever imagine. And in saying that, it's 3 minutes past time, guys. I always want to stick to the 30-minute time slot, so you guys get something out of this. You've got a list. Go out there, guys, and utilize that list. Reach out to the person that is your sponsor, your upline, your support crew, whoever. Get them to help you start to contact that list. That is your best leverage. So guys, have an incredible Monday night. We'll see you all next week, and go out and make this week an absolute fabulous week.
Thanks, Rach. That's awesome. Cheers.
Thanks, Rach. Bloody amazing. Thanks, Rach.
Hey, Michelle.
Thanks, Rach.
Rach.
Bye.
Love you guys.
Thanks, Rach.
Working practice, do you want to jump on my Zoom?
Thanks, Rach.
Thank
Thank
you,
you.
Rachel. Thanks, everybody.